My name is Chad Ray. I am the Orientation Mobility Specialist here at the South Dakota Rehabilitation Center in Sioux Falls. And today we're going to talk about canes and what O&M is, and some different tips, talk about the different types of canes and some winter travel. Should you have any questions as we go along, feel free to type a question into the comment section. We will, at the end of the presentation, we will answer those. And yeah, if you have any questions over anything I talk about, or if I'm not clear about something, or if you say I missed something, no complaints. You got to call those in, I guess. Anyways, so again, I'm the Orientation Mobility Instructor here. Orientation Mobility, or O&M, you'll hear it a lot. So it refers to the skills and the techniques that someone who is blind or visually impaired may need to travel effectively, safely, purposefully within their environment or as environments get more complex. Orientation, refers to knowing where you're at within your environment, being able to make those mental maps, and mobility is the ability to move around safely and effectively within that environment. And this is, of course, performed. These are all part of the training someone would get here. And as people come in, their training is very centered on that person. It depends on what their goals are, what they have to achieve, and where they're at that time. To do that, we will do, as with all the other instructors here, do an assessment, assess their skills, what other training they may need, or what I need to do as the O&M instructor to develop their program here. We work on the skill development, travel training, how to use the cane, use environment or cues within the environment, and then even maybe some other things like apps or the phones, GPS, or I'll talk about some of those throughout OCO or OKO, however you want to say it. And again, I would discuss orientation training. Again, help you make that mental map within whatever environment you may be in. And then, of course, getting familiar to that environment. So learning routes and adapting that training that we do to the different routes they may go through. So to teach those travel skills, there's three main types of canes. So the first one we're going to talk about is an ID cane. And you can see it's it folds up. It's in this one is 7 different sections. And these are not designed to, to probe, to travel long distances. They're more like, just like it says, ID, to identify that someone, the person who has this may have a visual impairment. These may or may not have the red on the bottom, and there's not really a tip. It's just a plastic cap that goes over the end, and there's no real handle. So it doesn't have like foam handles, some of the other ones, or the golf grip handle like other ones do. But these are nice. Like I said, somebody who doesn't need it all the time, they can fold it up and put it, go in your pocket, your purse, or whatever, and then you can get it out whenever you need it. So if you're in maybe a crowded area and you want a little more support to get around in your environment. And another type of ID, but it can also be used. This might be somebody who maybe needs it a little bit more, but not all the time. Again, this is also a graphite cane just like the other ID cane was. And so all of these canes, except for one, are all made by Ambutech. We will have a list of all the, where you can get the canes and all the different tips and some of the other things we talk about. That'll be posted, so you can just follow the link and go right to them. So this one, the slimline cane, this one is nice because you can change out the tips, and this is the 8mm screw-on tip, and I'll get into tips a little bit more a little later. And these do have handle, foam handle, easier to hang on to, but again, not for someone that uses the cane all the time, every day, kind of when it's needed. And again, folds up really nice and small, and you can put it away. And then there's the support cane. Support cane, again, this is Ambutech cane, folds up, and this handle also adjusts, but this one is chipped in 4 pieces with the bigger, excuse me, rubber end that more support canes might have, that you might, wooden and the other ones you can buy in the store. But this also has the T handle, and by pushing this in, it does adjust. I can make it lower or higher. And yeah, so if someone, it can still identify that someone may have a visual impairment. If they still need to use the cane, they still can. You can use this for support and keep the other one out in front. It takes a little work to coordinate both of them, use them at the same time. And then we have the probing or the mobility cane. And so the function or the reason, the purpose of these mobility canes, protection, to protect yourself from running into objects but again, they're only good, one drawback, it's only good from roughly the waist down to pick up things. It's also for identification, but it also to pick up information, to tell when you're going from carpet to linoleum, or into the parking lot, or concrete, whatever you're trying to look for, but it'll give you that information, either, the feel, the sound from the tip, or you feel it in your cane, the vibration. So like I said, the cane does provide the object detection. Object detection when the surface changes, or most importantly, drop-offs, whether it's a curb or steps. To help you get set up to go up and down the steps. So what can the cane detect? Of course, small objects, holes, which a cane may go over. Cannot detect, the small holes. It might just do, and again, this might depend on what tip you have, but it might just roll over smaller holes or little objects, holes and corners, which you have to go around. It's a little bit harder there, and overhanging obstacles are such as like the bus stop sign or other signs that might be out, or if somebody leaves the cabinet open or their door, the cane is not going to pick that up because it's going to go underneath that. All right. Before we talk about the long cane more, I want to go over a few techniques that, as we talk about the canes and the tips, I'll talk about constant contact, 2-point touch, but I just wanted to show them just to make sure we're all on the same page. The first technique we're going to talk about is trailing. And you really don't have to have the cane for this, but I'm going to stay about 6 or 8 inches away from the wall. So extend my hand about waist level. A couple ways you can do this. You can, with your thumb down and your fingers curled, and it's just gonna slide along your fingertips. And you can just follow the wall until you reach your destination. Or some people don't like to do that with the finger down, and the reason for the curling of the fingers is if you a door frame, so you're not jamming your fingers into the door frame. Now your hand will just go over that. Again, so without the thumb down, we can just use our pinky and that side. We're still going to curl our fingers down a little bit, again, because of door frames. Staying 6 to 8 inches away from the wall. And we can just follow that along to our destination. The next technique is I'm going to use an overhand grip and hold my cane in a diagonal. It's going to wedge right up against the wall and the floor. So that's going to cover, I'm going to hold it out far enough to protect my body from any obstruction that might be in the way. And again, stay about 6 to 8 inches away from the wall. And I can use this to follow walls. It might be good, if you're into an environment you're not real familiar with. Use that to follow around the outside perimeter to kind of get a feel of how the room is laid out. But diagonal and trailing are often used together for people early in their training. We'll get it wedged in there, and then I can keep my hand on here and follow the wall down to where I want to go. The next technique, so we used a overhand grip for diagonal. So this is called an open hand grip. So just like you were going to go shake somebody's hand, you're going to hold it like that. Now, these travel or the long cane, most of these have a flat spot on the handle, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And I'm going to put my finger on there. Okay, and that's always pointing down to my tip. So I always know where my tip is. I can follow my finger. So with constant contact, I'm going to step with my right foot because I want the tip and whatever foot that is forward to be opposite. So right now the tip is clearing the area, so I can step with my right. Right now my cane tip is to the right. As I step forward with my right foot, my cane tip is going to move to the left. And now it's clearing for my left foot. So I'm going to step with my left foot and the cane tip goes to the right. So that is constant contact, 2-point touch, very similar. The big difference is now instead of the tip constantly being in contact with the ground or on the floor, I'm going to bring it up a couple inches and clear that way. It's great for constant contact can be used about anywhere. 2-point touch is best for like open areas, long walks, or going down the sidewalk. So the same thing, I'm going to start with my tip on the right. As I go to step with my right foot, the tip's going to come up and I'll just tap side to side. It's important to stay in step. By in step means that the foot and the tip are on the opposite sides. So if my right foot's forward, my tip is on the left. Because if you get out of step, it makes it really easy to veer one way, and you could possibly miss a curb, step out into the street, trip, run into something, any of that. One other one, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about winter travel, pencil poke. So pencil poke, we're gonna hold it up, bring the cane straight up, standing straight up and down, hold it like you would a pencil, and we're gonna use that to poke the ground. Okay, I know I said winter, but you're also going through grass because you don't want the cane, it's too hard for the cane to move. use the other techniques in front of you like that. So I'm gonna bring it closer, so it's only, from my elbow to my hand out. Same thing, I'm gonna check where my right foot is gonna go and move the tip to the left as I step with the right foot and keep alternating so I can check for ice, holes in the ground. There's a different sound when the tip is hitting the cement, or in the sidewalk or asphalt, and it's different when there's ice and snow on there. You can definitely hear a difference in those. So the types of these long canes, we have, well, I'm gonna start with these two. This is an Ambutech, and don't think they're really making these anymore, Ambutech. But these, this long straight, this is an NFB cane. It doesn't fold. It's made out of fiberglass, the metal tip, and a nice foam handle. Has a little strap on it. But we don't use the strap, put our hand in there and hang onto the cane in case somebody grabs our cane or gets caught by something. And then we have our regular folding canes. So again, these are all off Ambutech's website. And the folding canes, you can pick how many sections you want on it. The more sections you have, the easier it is to store. But, and I like even number sections because when you bring it together, it's easier to get that loop around the end and you're not fighting with the end with the tip. Although one drawback is if, because of your tip and you don't always know what it gets into, when you bring it together with even number of sections, then that tip is right by your hand. So if your tip got into something it shouldn't have, it could get that on your handle. But there's also some specialty tips or specialty canes. And I won't get into all the like the We Walk and the lighted canes. I don't have any of those to use. But Ambutech makes cane, and it's again in sections. This one is graphite, but this one is called the no jab cane. It has a spring in the handle that moves down. So if you do come, I think it's about 8 inches. It'll go. So if you do come into contact with something, everybody's used a cane, has jabbed himself in the stomach at some point in time. But with this, when it does come in contact with something, that pushes down and that gives you a little more reaction time and less likely you're going to stab yourself in the stomach, or hopefully. And then we have this is called a telescopic cane. Okay, again, just like the slimline is very easy to store. Got a big, thick rubber handle. This one is not made from the same material as all these. This is more of a plastic, but it extends, kind of like a telescope or lightsaber, whatever. And then you twist to lock it into place. And it has the, well, if I can get it out, also has the 8.5 or 8 inch threaded, not inch, millimeter threaded tips. So some of these other ones that we'll talk about, those will work on there too. The problem with these canes is they're not great they're more of an identification. You don't want to use it if, you know, you need it for a long period of time. Because one of the things that can happen is, you know, if you run into something, it will collapse. So again, just something someone can carry along with them, that they wouldn't need a cane all the time, and easy to store. So the goal of these canes, you know, to use it as a tool to probe and to pick up tactile information, feel the vibration from changing to different textures, environments, and different sounds, or help you pick up auditory cues. Like definitely, well, you can tell when you're hitting metal as opposed to wood, or maybe even sheetrock with the cane. You know, it's also designed to protect you from obstructions or dangers in your environment, and also, you know, work to identify you as someone who may have a visual impairment. It gives, you know, it gives you time to react when you do come in contact with those obstructions. So these canes are made out of, we have aluminum, which is the sturdiest. And when if you go on Ambutech to order your cane, you can pick what material. You said the aluminum is the sturdiest. And even if it's bent a little bit, sometimes you can bend it back without wrecking anything. And all sections. So give you an example of you know, this one has 6 sections. This one only has 4. That's a little harder to store in your purse or put it in your pocket. Probably use your backpack stuff. And yeah, like I said, it's sturdier, heavier, but it's heavier. So depending on what cane tip you use too, using a heavier cane and a heavier tip might make travel a little more difficult. We have the fiberglass. Again, this was the NFB, or National Federation of the Blind cane, and this one is not on the Ambutech site. This one you can go right, this will be in the chat. There we go, where everything is at. And so or you can just Google free NFB cane, go on and you put in some information and pick your size. Now, one difference between the canes is the NFB canes, when they measure, they like them a little bit higher. We'll talk about cane sizes here in a minute. But they distribute theirs based on odd numbers of inches. So, you know, this one I think is a 57, whereas, and then the next one would be 59 or 61, whichever you wanted. Whereas Ambutech uses even numbers, inches, to measure your cane. In the fiberglass, they're very light, easy to use. They all have the same tip. You don't think you can really get any other tips for them. It's just a pop-on metal glide tip. It goes over, and you can get them if you buy one off of someplace else. They do come with a solid piece of fiberglass, which then they're going to be a little heavier. It's sturdier, but these are hollow on the inside. Yeah, but they can. I mean, they can put a little bend into them, but if they do get a crack, they can start to splinter a little bit, much like the graphite canes, which is it's lighter than the aluminum. So we use a lot of these here. It has lots of flex. The thing with the sections, the more sections that you have, the less feedback you're going to get, you know, because some of that information is lost as it goes through each of these joints. Splintering. The graphite ones, I mean, if you have to check them regularly, because if you do get a crack in them, and even the fiberglass one, they'll start to splinter, and you know that it gets very sharp and can really injure someone as you're folding up your cane and your hand goes along that splinter and it sticks into your hand. About the different sizes. All right, so the length of your cane. So we need to think of the cane as an extension of your arm. You're using it to find things, look for obstacles, keeping it out in front of you. As a general rule, you know, you want the cane to be long enough to be 2 steps out in front of you, be the length. NFB, back to the fiberglass, they prefer that it goes up over the shoulder, maybe up to the chin.
Recording in progress.
Depending on the traveler's current skills, where they're going to be using the cane. Somebody who's a more advanced or maybe a faster walker will want a longer cane. Reason for that, when you run into something, that gives you a little more reaction time, because you know when your cane runs into something, you don't automatically start or stop. You keep moving forward. And although when I was in Nebraska 2 summers ago at their center, and they gave us an NFB cane, they measured up to our nose. Apparently they thought we were really good travelers or something. All right, so back to the graphite, that was the other, or the Amputech. Their measurements are up to like mid-arm or armpit, or again, depending if someone's a little more advanced or a little faster traveler. All these canes, and I talked about the NFB, that's got the foam handle, and these other ones are a little bit different. But if you go on, you're going to order a cane, the handles are, you can pick what type of handle you want. So this one, again, like the golf club handle, the rubber, but it does have that flat spot on it. You can choose how many sections. You can even pick different colors to put on there, but that would be another section. We could talk about why that may not be a good idea. And let's see, so the handles, you can also order a wood handle, or cork, foam handle, or even like the no jab, the leather handle, which is very comfortable, but it's going to be a little thicker. And I don't think you have to just get red. I think you can choose some different colors to use for that. So proper care of your cane, you know, you should wipe it down often, you know, just to make sure. And that way you're also checking, making sure that, you know, there's no cracks, that no bends, that it's still good working condition. You know, you can use a damp cloth for that, wipe it down. Remember, they're not designed to support your weight, so don't use it to push yourself up onto something, or as you're going down, use it to support your weight. You know, we can always clean and replace the tips as needed, especially clean the tips, because like I said before, you don't know what your tip has touched or gotten into. So you treat your tip just like your shoes, or you treat your cane like your shoes. Don't hold up the cane and put it on the table. It's like you wouldn't put your shoes on the table because you don't know what you stepped in or your cane is touched. Yeah, well, we can also, and I can do that right here if needed. Sometimes, it gets really loose. You can feel that maybe the cord that goes through the middle has stretched too much, and that will happen after use. Easy fix, just pull it out, and you have to undo that knot and then just slide it down further. But what can happen is over time, then you get extra cord that's really long. But you can also push this up through here. There are just knots on the end. You can cut it, make another knot on the end, or bring it in, I can do it. And we can also put the different reflective tape on there. As you can kind of see on this one of mine, it's beat up quite a bit from hitting things. We can cut a piece of the reflective tape and put over that, and it looks just like brand new. When you do store your cane, so hold it when it's not in use. So if I was sitting down here, I would want to know, where it's at. So I just put it, try to keep it the same place all the time. I put it down my side, either side. We have a client here that he would always, when he came in, and he'd attach it to the chair, so it was always hanging there. If you have to, excuse me, or you don't have to fold it down all the way when you get into a vehicle. If you're not going to be in there for a long period of time, maybe just fold it once, or depending on how many sections, and then just set it down, put it down on the side. But keep it where it's going to be easy to find. If it's the NFB cane, the straight cane, same thing. You can slide it under the table, or I've seen people that like to put it right in front of them, so their feet are always on it, so they know exactly where it's at. But the big thing, you just want to keep it out of traffic, and so it's easy to grab whenever you need it. Okay. We're going to talk about some of the different cane tips that we use. And like I said before, these cane tips, not the NFB. So these are the metal glide tips, and that can be a hook on, like the aluminum and the graphite cane. Those can be replaced very easily. It just pulls out, and there should be a little stopper that pops out and a knot, and then you can unhook those and replace it with the tip that you want to use. And there's also, if, let's say I found a tip I really liked, but it was the 8mm tip, and I have the hook on cane, there are extensions you can get, and that's off the Ambutech site, that hooks on and it slides on the end, and now I can use the 8mm tip as opposed to the hook one. So we're going to go through a few of these tips. I showed you the hook and the 8mm, but there's also just a slip-on. It's hollow, and that just goes on. I don't like these as much because you really have to make sure you get it on there well, and I think they pop off, but they just slide right over the end, and you can use the tip for that. Okay, so the first one is the pencil grip we're talking about. This is great for 2-point touch technique or constant contact, because it gives really good feedback as you're using it, and it's very lightweight. But the one drawback to it is because it's so small, it can get caught into cracks, or if the surface is uneven, sometimes one side of a section of a sidewalk might sit up a little bit higher, and it can get caught in that as you're traveling. And then we will talk about the marshmallow. And it's just one piece. It doesn't rotate or anything, but the hook goes on there, and we get our stopper back down. But so this one, it's shaped, it's called a marshmallow. There's a rolling marshmallow we'll talk to. This is smaller than that, but it's very hard. It's plastic, it's very durable. We use indoor, outdoor, constant contact, and 2-point touch. Again, it gives good feedback to the user. It's fairly light, but on the website said there's limited durability with these, so they can wear down faster than some of the other ones. So the hook on flex tip, and this one is kind of neat because yes, that rotates a little bit, but there's some give, so that can move around. So if someone is using 2-point touch, so it's kind of a cylinder, or a kind of a bell-shaped tip that's made of plastic, or a harder plastic. It's not plastic, it's heavy, it's thicker material than that. But that too can also wear down quickly if you're using it for constant contact. Outside, the concrete will ding it quite a bit. So durability could be an issue there, but it's good. 2-point touch, uneven surfaces, it'll get over those, and very versatile. Again, that was the hook, the flex tip. Did the marshmallow. Okay, the ball. So it was good for indoor, outdoor, uneven terrain. So I think it measures 5 inches around. It rotates. Just imagine a ball on a platform, and when you wouldn't use it for 2-point touch, so constant contact. It gives a definite sound. It's a lot different than some of the other tips. So it rolls really easily. Provides good feedback to the user too. But it is one big drawback. It is a lot heavier. The other thing I've noticed, that if you have somebody that's a little more inexperienced using their cane and maybe don't have great skills, when they're running into things, it's a lot louder. Hear them coming down the holes. So that was the rolling ball, and again, difference in the hook and the 8mm. I mean, it's the same tip, just they connect differently. All right, the rolling jumbo tip. Good for long walks, varied terrain, and it's kind of shaped like a disc, or a really small hockey puck, and it rolls. Good for constant contact. It glides really smooth. You have to have good cane skills, because it will take off on you from side to side. So have to be careful of that. And it also is a little bit heavier, and it may wear out faster, but it is really smooth over uneven terrain. And because of the heavier ones like this, and the ball, could possibly lead to some wrist strain. The metal glide tip, see a lot of those. Very smooth, to go over smooth surfaces, it's very durable, slides easy. And these are all on the NFD canes and good for constant contact or 2-point touch. Diagonal, I mean, it can be used for whatever, whatever your environment is. And again, it's just a small metal disc at the end, about 1.5 inches wide. And we have the ceramic tips. Think of a dome shaped with a rubber band around it that is very durable. Oh, my favorite. It provides very clear feedback. I don't know, I think it gives better sound as you're using it. And again, it can be used for constant contact, 2-point touch, or whatever you would like, indoor, outdoor. It does, people who are just starting training do struggle a little bit with these tips getting caught, like the cracks in the, or joints in the sidewalk. If you're not holding your hand correctly out front, it will get caught in those and they're jabbing themselves. And we have the rolling marshmallow, and it's about this the size of a regular, the jumbo marshmallows that you eat, attached that and that rolls. So it's much like the other one, it's just a little bit bigger. Again, very versatile, best for outdoor or mixed terrain. It goes over things very smooth. Constant contact is probably the preferred choice with this one because of the roller. But this one also can be a little bit heavier to use. Reading the other three here. We have the roller freewheeling tip. It's just a rubber wheel that you can put on and use for, but it's the rubber is very durable. It's not hollow in the middle. So, I mean, so you don't have to put air or anything in it. Great for outdoor, uneven terrain. It's very durable. Constant contact out in front of you. And another, and this one is for outdoor. And this disc, so it's not the same dimensions all around. It's a little bit smaller in the area that is on the ground, so it tips a little bit, and that allows you to maneuver through soft surfaces like grass, and grass, or if you're out on trails. There's two more that I won't talk a whole lot about, other than this is one of the newest ones on Ambitech, and this is the Rover 360 tip, and it's got the ball that rolls forward, but it also twirls, so it could go 360 degrees around. This one is not on the Ambitech site, and it is the roller or OmniSense. It rolls forward. It's got two wheels on each side, but it also it's designed after Amazon's conveyor belts. So these also spin, so you can use that from side to side or pushing forward. With that, okay. So we're going to talk about human guide. We call it human guide and not sighted guide because you don't have to have sight to do this. Anybody can do it. But what we did is we pre-recorded a lot of this, so we didn't have to move the camera all around. But I don't think the microphone worked very well. So you're gonna have to turn your computers up a little bit, or the volume, to hear. And yeah, with that, we'll get started. All right, so when performing human guide, you'll want to address the person, ask them if they need assistance. Chances are they've done this before, but there's a possibility they may not want assistance. Maybe they're just trying to get themselves orientated to the room, or they don't feel comfortable, or it could be a cultural thing too, and they don't want to do that. But I'm going to be in front of Bailey and talk to her, ask her if she needs assistance. I'm not just gonna walk up and say, hey Bailey, it's Chad, and grab her arm and start walking away. Nobody likes to be pulled. So I will ask her, hey Bailey, introduce myself. Bailey, this is Chad, do you need some help?
Yes, please.
Okay, where would you like to go?
To the door.
To the door. Okay, so I'm gonna take the back of my hand to the back of her hand. I'm gonna tap it a couple times, and then on the third time, I'm just gonna stop. And then she'll slide her arm up, make a C with her hand, and I'm gonna explain things as we go, like, hey, we're close to the door, or look out for the obstacle to your right. But talk about what we're going through or seeing as we go. As we start, Bailey's gonna keep her arm at about a 90-degree angle, and I'm gonna keep my arm straight, and we're gonna try to go cheek to shoulder, meaning instead of being 2 people wide, we're going to be 1.5. So as we start walking, if I start going too fast, Bailey can just squeeze my arm to let me know. And as we come up to the door, and I'm always going to anchor Bailey to something. We're not just gonna end, in this case it's the door, so she'll slide her hand down to the door. If we go into a new room, it could be the wall or the chair or whatever she's trying to find. In the event, if Bailey has maybe some balance issues or doesn't feel completely comfortable, we can do the supportive technique where I'm gonna bring my hand up, and then she's gonna slide it down and just hang on to my forearm to give a little more support as we go. If there's quite a bit of a height difference, or maybe with a child, it's okay to just grab a hold of the forearm there, and I can keep my arm down. If it was reversed and Bailey was the guide and I was a lot taller, I could just put my hand on her shoulder and do it that way. All right, so next we'll talk about navigating through narrow spaces or doorways. So as the guide, all I'm going to do is as we approach the door or narrow hallway, I'm just going to bring my hand back behind my back to signal to the traveler that, and I can also say that too, that hey, we have a doorway coming or a narrow area. So when I turn sideways, as I put my hand to the back, Bailey will slide down with her hand, so she's right behind me. We're kind of single file as we walk out the door. So we are just gonna walk around here a little bit and go out the door to kind of show you how that is. All right. Okay, we have a narrow space, walls on your right, chairs behind to your left. And we're going to go through a doorway and go left. All we're going to demonstrate going through the doorway and finding the chair at the table. The chair is up here, so I'm going to put my hand on the back of the chair. So she slides her hand down to it, and I'm also going to tell her about the chair, that this chair does not have arms. It's underneath the table, so it's going to have to slide out. If it had wheels, I can put my foot behind the chair so it doesn't roll back on her. But Bailey will slide it out, walk up and find the table, and then come around to the front and back to it. So when she feels it at the back of her legs, and she can sit down and slide up. Okay, next we're going to demonstrate switching sides. So if I was guiding Bailey and we were walking down the hallway and maybe there was an obstruction, maintenance was there fixing something, or a pothole or something in the sidewalk, I'm going to notify Bailey that we need to switch sides, and I should also tell why. Just that there's something in the way, or there's a big hole or something, so she knows what we're doing. So to switch sides, I'll tell Bailey we're going to switch. She's going to take her free hand, put it on the arm she already has a hold of, my right arm. She's going to stay in contact and slide across my back. Grab my free arm, follow again with the other arm, and now we're on the other side. The reason you're staying in contact is because if we're moving, that way we don't have to stop, we can keep moving. So if I come this way and I say switch, we don't have to stop or slow. You'll probably have to slow down a little bit. Okay. Next we're going to demonstrate row seating. So if you're at a theater or something like that, and we're going to go into this back row. So to do that, I'm going to have Bailey switch so I can go through sideways and then locate her chair so she can sit there, so it's easier to get through. All right, so I'm going to have you switch sides. Okay. So we're going to turn sideways and go through to avoid people, and I'm going to place it on the back of the chair. There's no arms or anything. Okay. All right, so next we're going to talk about doing human guide up and down the steps. As the guide, it's my responsibility to let the person know, I'm going to slow down a few steps before I reach the stairs, and I'm going to let them know that we have stairs, and I'm going to say they're going up or going down. I'm also going to tell her where the railing is at. So as we come forward, I will tell her we have some steps here. There's a railing on your right. And then Bailey will come up and find where the step is, the first step. So as we go up, we're not going to be side by side on the same step. I'm always going to be one step ahead of Bailey. That way our feet don't get tangled up and we have an accident on here. And it's perfectly okay for Bailey to always use the railing. If we came up and she was on my left side, we would switch. So she's on the inside. It's nice to always stay to the right, although there could be a possibility somebody isn't very stable that way and they might want to use the left side, which is fine. So we've found the step. I've informed Bailey that we're going up. She's found the railing. I'm going to ask if she's ready, and I'm also going to tell her when I get to the last step, the one before I reach the landing. And when I get to the top, I'm going to stop. That way she knows that we're at the top. So Bailey, are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go. step. Alright. So, just like coming up the stairs, I'm going to notify Bailey that we have steps ahead of us. I will slow down and I will tell her if they're going down or up. The other thing she's going to do is, the railing is on her right. She's going to use a self-protection technique called place the foot. And think of it as just kind of a half a step forward so you don't get too far and lose your balance, but that half the step you're going to use to find the top of the step. So I'll let Bailey find that. Then she can slide up where she knows where the edge of it is. And the same thing is going up. I'm going to ask when she's ready, and also stay one step ahead of her so we're not on the same step. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Going down, you have to go a little bit slower. The last step. All right. Okay, if someone still has their cane, we could still use the steps. To do that, we're going to do everything the same. I'm going to slow down first. I'm going to let Bailey know, hey, we have some steps ahead of you. She's going to anchor the cane and check with her toe where the bottom is, and I'll tell her there's a railing to your right. And then she's going to just push the cane against my arm and wrap her arm around and still staying in the C grip. And I will, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Step. All right. And down, the railing is to your right. And the top of the stairs. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Down. And as I'm going down, you can hear that Bailey is rubbing the back of her shoe against the back of the step. That helps to ensure that you've got your whole foot on the step and you don't trip off the edge. Last step. Okay. All right. Okay, now Bailey and I are going to show you how to, using Human Guide, how to go in and out of doors. Ideally, you want the person being guided on the same side as the hinges, but we're going to show you both ways of what to do. You could always stop before you get to the door and have them switch sides, but we'll show you both ways here. So I'm going to let Bailey know I'm here, and I'm going to tell her which way the door goes. So this door is going out and to the left. So as I start to go through, Bailey's going to use her left arm, bring it up in the upper forearm position to catch the door as I walk through. Here we go. Okay, so the reason we want the person being guided at the side of the hinges, because the arm that I'm guiding with is there. And that's the hand that I use to open the door. That way the person can feel what I'm doing, whether I'm pulling back or pushing forward. So I'm going to have Bailey switch sides on this one. Go ahead, switch. And also remember the guide as you go through, you still have to put your arm behind to let the person know that we have a narrow space. But now on this door, so it's going out and to the left. So what Bailey's going to do is with her free hand, come over to my arm as I bring it back. And then with her left arm, closest to the door, she's going to bring it up in that self-protection upper forearm technique. So, you ready? Okay, the door goes out and to the left. And it is possible that it's very difficult for the person being guided to get through the door. Like this is a pretty heavy door and they might not be able to maintain their balance with that. So as a guide, you may have to stop, have them let go while they're a hold of the door, come out and hold the door, and when they come out, then connect again so you can travel on. Okay, next we're going to show you how to go down curves, which is just like going down steps. So I'm going to slow down before I reach the curb. I'm going to tell Bailey, hey, Bailey, we have a curb. We're going to step down. So I'm at the edge. She checks with her foot where it's at. Same thing, I'm going to ask first, and I'm going to step first, so we're not stepping at the same time. So actually, I'm going to be down on the parking lot first. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Then, to find the vehicle, I'm going to put my hand on the handle. She's going to follow my arm down to the handle. I'm going to let her know that the front of the car is to your right. And as she opens the door, she switches hands. Something else you could do is I can make contact again with Bailey. She slides up. And then as she opens the door, I can put my hand up here and she could follow it up. Now she knows where the top of the car is, so she doesn't hit her head as she goes in. And the other thing, I might ask, hey, can you get the door, or do you want me? And if she wants me to get the door, just like with steps, always double check, make sure. Ask if she's ready. She's ready, so then I can close the door. All right, welcome back. One thing I did want to add before I talk about some winter travel, as far as canes and tips, I've been asked what's best, what cane is best, and that is personal preference. It has to do with your environment, where you'll be using it. So you may have to try or go through several different types of canes or tips before you find what works best for you. And also, if you have a cane already, and you feel like you need to order a new one, you should have a sticker on there, and the last numbers will give you, so the 62, so that's 62-inch cane, and the last number, -6, the 6 just means how many sections the cane is. So it could be 4, 5, 6. I've even seen 7. Now, as you talk about winter travel, when you are traveling outdoors in the winter, remember, we're going to use that pencil poke as we go, but I want you to ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it necessary for me to be outside in this? When you walk, think of a penguin with your feet pointed out. You're going to take short steps, slower steps. The reason for your feet pointed out is if you're going forward or stepping straight ahead and you push off with the ice, you could trip. Just slow down. Again, before you even start traveling, ask, is this necessary? Get the weather report. I mean, now with the cell phones, you can get the weather right there, or call somebody where your destination is. Call them, ask them how it is. Always dress in layers. Make sure your clothing is visible, and stay on the main routes. And before you leave, let somebody know when you're leaving, what route you'll be taking. That way, if you don't show up or they don't think you're there when you should be, they can follow that route and maybe find you. Maybe you got, it can be very disorientating when you're out outdoors traveling with the wind and the snow. You're not getting all the feedback and the sound from your cane. And as far as some things you can use for the snow, so this device, and again, we have the link for this. It's a spike that fits on the end of your cane. It comes in 2 pieces, and you can just put 2 screws in there to attach it there. And you push these 2 side knobs in, and the tip flips down. And now you can use your cane outdoors in the ice, through the snow. And then when you get inside, just push those again, flip it up, and then you can use your cane. You don't have to take that thing off. Just a couple other things that you could use, and maybe have a snow or a winter travel bag, but I just use this shoulder bag. And I like this because it holds a lot of stuff, but you can also there's different slip-ons that have traction on them. Like this one has screws on the end, and this one's got a few more spikes. And it just fits. This was actually made more for a boot, where you just stick your toe in there and slides in and pull it over the back of your shoe or boot. That'll help you keep your grip out in the snow and ice, and then you can take them off very easy as they are to put on. And on Amazon, and a couple other places, there's some different ones. Have those. There's also one that, and this is just got a couple spikes on the corners of it, and it's metal with a hook on the end with a rubber strap that you put your foot on top of it, and then you can pull that rubber strap around, and it hooks onto your shoe. Again, easy to take on and off. Also, if you can find somebody that can help you sew, if you take a regular mitten, cut a hole in there, and then, or by where your index finger is, and you'll have to sew that up on the side so the stuffing doesn't come out. And the reason for that is now I can slide my cane in there and still feel that, because sometimes if you don't feel like you have enough control over it, if you're just using a mitten, but this way it just slides on in there. And those are all, again, in the chat section, all the links, where to go for that. And one other thing I want to finish with that we could use. So we just went to a Goodwill, bought a jacket, cut the sleeves off, and adjusted it a little bit. So we're going to take the end where the hand would normally come out with the elastic on it, called a cane mitten, and slide it over your hand, and with the extra part, we slide our hand down in there, and then you can even add some Velcro to it to wrap around the cane at the end. So this way your hand is covered and protected for when you are out in the snow. All right, so I think that's everything I'm going to go over today. Again, check the chat. You can have the links to all that stuff. I think they're going to put my phone number in there and my email address. Should you have any questions, again, if I need to clarify something for you, or if you have questions on something else, please feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call, and we'll see if we can get it answered. All right. If there are any questions, we can stay on for a little bit longer and try to answer any questions you might have.
He says, great information, Chad. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Casey says, thank you, Chad. Dave said, thank you.
Okay, doesn't seem like we have any other questions. Again, if you think of something later, get a hold of me. Thank you very much for joining us.